All right, it is 1 minute after the hour, and it is time to get this show on the road. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Cleve Gaddis, and I am actually coming to you today from Dallas, Texas. I am a Workman Success Systems coach. I'm also a full-time real estate broker and a team leader in Metro Atlanta. I have a team full of agents helping buyers, sellers, investors, and landlords since 1987. My family's been in the real estate business, and we have a fantastic panel for you today. We've got some great information. We're going to discuss building a competitive advantage through technology, and we've got four wonderful guests. We've got a great sponsor. Shannon, I've had the pleasure of working with you before, and glad to have you back on here today. And we've also got three other really, really great guests. I'll introduce you to them in just a few minutes. If you're anything like me, you struggle with the same things I struggle with, and that is, how do you create leverage in your life? One of our panelists today has a virtual real estate organization, people spread out all over the country, and talk about a way to create leverage so you can get stuff done with the best people all throughout the country. We've got some great information for you, so I hope you stay on all the way until the end. If you have any questions, please post them in the questions box. We are very, very happy to answer any and all questions, or everyone we can get to during today's webinar. So if you have a question for any of the panelists or the sponsor, just post it right there in the questions tab. In fact, I'd love to give the questions tab a tryout here real quickly. And if you will go in and post the city where you are logging in from, just give me the name of the city where you're logging in from. Let's put that in the questions box, and we'll discuss those as they come in. If you have any difficulties, any technical difficulties, make sure you post that in the questions or the chat box as well. Somebody from RISMedia will be monitoring that, and they will make sure that everything gets taken care of for you. And then stay on until the very end. We've got some really cool giveaways for you that are coming directly from the panelists. It's things that they use in their business. And also, we've got a cool giveaway from Exact Contact, who is the sponsor. And you're going to love this information. We got people from all over the place logging in. Let's see here. We've got Providence, Rhode Island, Brooklyn, New York, Cape Cod. I love Cape Cod. We've got Arroyo Grande. I've never even heard of that before. Vegas, baby, Norwalk, Connecticut, Raleigh, High Point, North Carolina, Scottsdale, Arizona, Ellicottville, New York, Flanders, New York, Morristown, New York. We've got people from all over the place, and we're so glad that you've logged on to join us today, and we hope to give you something that is really beneficial for you. When I don't moderate these panels, I love to attend these panels, because these are some of the most knowledgeable, some of the best panelists that you'll find on any webinars in the United States today. And if it weren't for the generosity of the sponsor, this would not be possible. So I'd like to start out by introducing Shannon McGhee. Shannon, again, you and I have done this before. You are the sales director at Exact Contact, which is a leading real estate CRM and marketing information solution provider. She's responsible for customer onboarding, retention, and support. And she has years and years of experience and knowledge on CRMs. And I'll tell you, Shannon, you and I have had some very good discussions on these webinars before, and I'm so glad to have you back. I'd love to give you a few minutes just to talk about Exact Contact.
Yeah, thanks so much, Cleve. I don't know if my slides are loaded next, but just wanting to just roll in Exact Contact to that sort of overall technology that will help agents build their business. CRM, we feel, is sort of one of those core key tools. And I know that our panelists today are going to add to that list of things that they're using and recommending that agents use in their business. So building from CRM and all of the other pieces that agents will wrap in, so that they're getting everything back from their sphere that they possibly can. It's making sure that agents have those key tools, and in something like Exact Contact or whatever CRM you're using, as long as you use it, that's really the key. I think we keep saying that over and over again, is if you're not using it, if you won't log into it, if you feel like it's hard to use, find the one that you will use, because any system's only as good as what you'll put into it. And you want to have the CRM that's going to help bring that repeat and referral business back to you.
Love it. And you know, it's way easier to talk about using a CRM than it is to actually use the CRM and to make that sort of the focal point of your business. Yeah. I think we have several panelists who are probably going to say today that is the key to any technology platform, is that CRM. And so I'll be excited to hear about those panelists. Let me move on to the next slide here for you. And I'd love for you to be able to talk a little bit about anything else you'd like to talk about Exact Contact.
Yeah, and I mean, I think I touched on that one already, but really what I wanted to highlight were just a couple of statistics around studies that like ActiveRain has done, studies that NAR have done around CRM helping agents build their business. And ActiveRain's Rich Agent, Poor Agent study polled agents. They asked them a whole bunch of questions like, what kind of car do you drive and where do you live, and all kinds of different things. What do you use to run your business? And CRM was one of the key items that the top performing agents were using as part of that study. Things like monthly email newsletters and just the consistency and organization that's created that then allows the agent just that much more bandwidth to do what they do best, have conversations and go on their listing presentations and do the things they need to do with their clients while some of the communication can be handled in the background.
Do you know, by the way, what their definition for this study was of a rich agent? I'm curious. Did they have an income cutoff? Because I'd be curious to know.
What? I'm glad that you asked that, but off the top of my head, I can't remember what the cutoff was, like where it was an income thing. So it was, yeah.
I love that. So let's just call it $200,000 or $250,000 a year from an agent perspective. And it's interesting that the people who are making money in real estate, who are doing it consistently, are really relying on their CRM. Anything else about Exact Contact, by the way? I love the educational resources you provide. I think you've given us one that we're going to give away for free at the end of today's webinar. So please stay tuned so you can get that. But any other comments you'd like to make, final comments about Exact Contact?
Really just that, systematizing your business and putting those key tools in place will ultimately make your business better and make your business easier to run.
That's so true. And hopefully you'll get some good ideas from that. We've got Eric Johnson on with us today. Eric is the first real estate coach who works inside a brokerage who's been on one of these with me. Eric and I am delighted to actually have you here. You are the manager of agent productivity and growth, a fancy way to say real estate coach. I would say at RE/MAX Niagara and Escarpment. You specialize in emotional intelligence, which is something I wish I had, time management, helping people achieve their objectives and key results, goal setting and leadership. You're also, able to help busy professionals build a business that is worth owning. So Eric, welcome aboard. We're going to come back to you in just a second, and we'll start with you in terms of the presentation. We also have Austin Glass, who knows how to help his clients win in any situation. He is from Southern California, Orange County specifically, and he began his work career with a lengthy customer service and sales stint before he got into real estate. In his first year alone, listen to this, he successfully facilitated transactions with Starbucks, Bravo Burger, and luxury fitness centers, as well as numerous residential sales. He's currently managing partner of Mint, M-I-N-T Real Estate, alongside his business partner. And then last but certainly not least, we've got Vicki Westifer, who is from Colorado Springs, Colorado. She's been licensed for 23 years. And listen to this, she runs her entire business operation virtually. She runs it virtually. And so I'm really interested in being able to pick her brain on how she was able to do that, and also how she's able to deliver service that feels very personal, like people are right there physically and very involved. And I think she's going to have some great ideas for us. And her seamless systems drive the extraordinary results and help her create lasting relationships with clients. And that is so important in today's world. So welcome, Eric, welcome, Austin, and welcome, Vicki. Let me circle back. And Eric, let's start with you. As we had our pre-webinar call and you talked about the takeaways that you would like someone to have, you said you need to keep it simple. And we could probably spend the next 3 hours talking about keeping it simple. And so what I'd love for you to do is start out and say, what do you mean by keeping it simple? And then if you have some specific areas where you think agents overcomplicate things, I'd love to have a little discussion on those.
For sure. Thanks, Cleve. Yeah, by keeping it simple, is so many people, when I'm talking to agents, and even before when I was working with other business owners, is that they want to do everything at once. They want that magic bullet. They want the answers. They want it all now. And the simple thing is just like, we have to learn to walk before we can run. It's keeping things simple is that let's not overcomplicate it. It's not just about having technology. I used to be in IT. I was network support guy. It is all about using IT as a tool. And how can we, not only do we want to make it our life more efficient, but we want to also make it effective. And, trying to manage those things. And I think the biggest thing that I've seen is agents trying to scale their business. They get into business, they just start working at it, they get lucky, they get successful, and then they're stuck at the same level. And it's all about the systems. And it doesn't have to be a complicated system. It just has to be a system that allows them to get things done that need to get done.
Absolutely. We did have a question from, it looks like Marietta, and the question is, what does CRM stand for? And Shannon, I'll let you answer that question. I know what it is, but it's appropriate for you to answer that. What does CRM stand for, so people know what the heck we're talking about?
And you know what? I usually tell everybody, because in an industry where everything's an abbreviation,
yes.
CRM is customer relationship management. A lot of agents will use it as they're continually reminding me, continually reminding me system.
And there are basically two portions, in my opinion, of a good CRM software, and that is something that helps you manage the relationship with the consumer in the beginning as you get them to become a client, and then how you manage that relationship with them after they become a client.
Absolutely.
And ideally, both of those would be handled in the same CRM or customer relationship management software.
You bet.
So Eric, let me circle back to you. Do you have a suggestion or two of areas where agents overcomplicated? And let me give you an example. I watched a team have a meeting the other day, and the team leader was talking to the team members about providing value when they make follow-up phone calls. In this case, they were talking about a B prospect, which is somebody who's ready to buy or sell the next 90 days, follow up twice a month. And the issue is if the agents don't know what to say. And so it was interesting. He worked through an example with them that says, hey, with the way interest rates have changed over the last 60 days, if you bought the average priced home in this particular city, you'd save $33,000 over the life of the loan in interest. And that became the follow-up script. So do you find that people overcomplicate the process of following up with people?
Yeah, most of us, hey, let's face it, we all do this. We get in our own heads. We talk ourselves out of a lot of things. We make it, oh my God, this is going to go wrong. Like, just do it. Just go ahead and try something. And if it doesn't work, then try something different. Just never be afraid to try something. I think that, I've seen a lot of agents when I work with new agents, and we're talking about overcoming objections. And so I give them the objections, and all of a sudden they start spewing stuff, and they go, okay, I had to memorize this script. I go, no, what about just asking a question? Slow it down. Why'd they say that? Why'd they ask that question? Why'd they ask for a discount? Why'd they do whatever? Ask questions. It's just a conversation. And that's where I think it's, when you get into the conversation and stop selling, then you become a trusted advisor, because now I'm listening to what you say. And that's part of the emotional intelligence, is understanding what are their fears, what are they going through. Let me just ask some questions and just get more in depth and understanding before I give any kind of answer. Instead of just rushing into it.
So it seems to me like you're saying that you really need to truly see your prospect or your client. You really need to try to understand things from their perspective. And what's interesting is I think your average agent, when they make a follow-up call, might be actually just trying to earn a commission. And when that happens, I think the consumer can sense that. So as Austin will tell you a little bit later, having your CRM software set up so that it prompts you to do all that follow-up with those prospects and keeping it simple. And so if you don't know what to say, find something of value, find something that might be interesting to them, and reach out and make that connection. So thank you very much for that, Eric. Let's go into our next topic, which is you using digital whiteboards. I remember growing up in the corporate world and having a big, gigantic whiteboard in my office, and I had notes everywhere. I had all this stuff about my salespeople and who was selling what. So how are you and your staff or your agents that you're training making use of digital whiteboards?
Yeah, it's still prevalent. Last week, I go into one of the team's offices, and there's the assistant wiping off the whiteboard, trying to draw lines, put down every, all the properties they're dealing with. And
Right.
it's so time consuming. And, as I look at it, digital whiteboards are great for individual agents and especially for teams, and also for the broker managers in terms of who you're working with. CRM is awesome because I can keep everything in there, keep track of all my conversations. But if I want a list of who am I working with all right now, what are all the properties I'm working with? And so to have a whiteboard where you can break all that down, I use a whiteboard so that I can keep track. Here's all the agents I've talked to. Here's a list of the agents I'm waiting on getting something back from them. So at any time I can, if my boss says, hey, who you working with? Boom, here's my current list. I don't need to look in 5 different spots. What I see is, as I said, you go into an agent's office and they have a list of here's all the listings they have. Maybe they have a list of the buyers, and I'll see on the one side is a tally of all the houses they've sold. And so as it gets filled up, now we got to we got to write things in. How do we keep track of that stuff? The team lead, how do they know what's on the whiteboard? They have to actually go into the office, or they're going to tie up their assistant for so many minutes each and every day they do this, and where they, let them know what's happening on the board. And that just takes time. And that time could be better spent elsewhere.
And so what, do you have a particular recommendation for digital whiteboard? Is there one in particular that you use? Because I know people would like some, specifics.
Yeah, is Trello. So Trello is a great product. It is free. If you want to go, there is a cost, like if you want to do Teams aspect. The nice thing is you see a little bit in the image there, you see a little bit of a thing from Trello of doing done. But, I will say that for an agent, if you break it down into, I think we had a screenshot of Trello that I provided was buyers, listings, and sold. And I would add one more that I would add on to that would be a 4th column, which would be templates. And so the way Trello works is these are my lists. And by the way, I can have multiple boards. So I can have one just for my transactions. I can have another one that's related to team members or something else that I want to deal with. But within each of those names, so for example, under buyers, Adam and Brenda Jones, if I double click on it, what happens is it opens up the back of the card. I can add things like checklists, I can notes, attachments. So the nice thing is from a team perspective is, let's say I set up a template for my buyers and I had a buyer's checklist. I can have that checklist already created in that card. And so then if this was my team of agents and I assigned Austin to Adam and Brenda, and let's say gave Vicky, Frank, and Gina. So I can go in and as team lead, I could, click on it and see the checklist and see, hey, did Austin get all his stuff done? Where is he in the process? Vicky, what has she completed? I can see exactly what's going on. I can see any attachments, notes. I've worked with mortgage agents that use this all the time because they will have, who's in waiting, which ones are we waiting on paperwork, etc. But now once I'm done, let's say that we sold 45 King Street there in Thorold. Well, I just click and drag that over to the sold.
Okay.
Now, if I want, I could also add in the note of how much commission I made. So yes, I can keep a spreadsheet, but I can, at any time throughout the year, this list can go on and on. I can just click on it and see, okay, this sold, what day did it sell, who bought it, what commission. I can add whatever notes I want. And so it takes that whiteboard to a new level, a totally new level. And I think when you're working with brand new agents and, having that system, because this is all about systems, that's what makes things go. So if I have a system and, that's what people come to you as a team member, as a team lead, is that you have a system that works. And here's the checklist. And you just go through these things. Did you do all these things? And it could be a team effort. So, and the other thing I didn't mention was that each of these, because I just set it up in individual mode, but if I assign Adam and Brenda to Austin, when I assign it to them, I can assign a color. So being mint, I'm going to pick on Austin, say, let's go green for Mitch.
That's right.
So all the green ones would be Austin's clients. Vicky might be purple, right? And so I can easily see who's running, when I click on the card, I will see who's it's been assigned to. I've seen what they've completed. It just, to me, it's a better way. You can put up a monitor in your office and have a display. And then when you have a client in doing a presentation, you could turn that off and put on the presentation.
I love it. Like you could use the one right here behind me. It would be perfect for that purpose. Now, let me ask you this, because I was thinking as you said that, okay, I'm a new agent. I don't really think, now I'm playing devil's advocate here. I don't believe what I'm saying, but I don't really believe my business is at a level where I need to do all of this. I would assume you'd push back on that. And what would you say to somebody that says, hey, I don't do enough in order for, for it to be worth all the trouble of doing this?
You mean, Cleve, you're not doing enough now?
Yes, that's what I mean. So, wait a minute. I've already figured it out. I'd like to do more. So I guess you're saying I got to do more. Is that what I'm hearing?
So what I'm saying is now's the time. When I was in IT, companies would say, hey, we're not going to buy that software because business is a little slow right now, and we'll wait till we're busy. And they go, but then you're not going to have time to train. So, you're a brand new agent. This is about setting good habits and setting good systems in place.
Yeah, love it. One of the things you specialize in is helping people set goals. And so many people out there feel like setting goals is a waste of time. I'm almost positive that you don't agree with that. And then, so what are the keys to helping people actually move forward, setting the goals, and then taking proactive steps every single day toward achieving those goals? I bet you got some secrets.
Yeah, it's not really a secret. It's common sense, I think, is that, you want to set a target. What are you going for? What is your goal? The old analogy of get on an airplane and say, hey, I want to go to Cabo San Lucas. And the airline pilot gets in the plane and says, well, I don't really have a plan here or anything. We'll just fly south.
Yeah. So excuse me. I'm getting off. I'm going to get off now.
What? You need direction. And so, the key is that set a goal, have a really good reason for wanting it. If there is a really good why reason for achieving that goal, then you're going to work harder to get it. Mm-hmm. The other key piece is accountability, is holding yourself accountable or finding somebody else to hold you accountable. That's where a coach comes in. And having the steps and manageable steps, breaking it down into simple steps that you can do. And so, we're showing a screen of a product that I like using. It was an app that I went looking around to see why would I create something when something's already been done.
Right.
This is by a company called Weekdone, WEEKDONE. If you have up to 3 users or less, it's free.
Okay.
So if you want more people, 4 more, there's a cost per user, but I found it very affordable compared to any other software out there. Weekdone, so my goal setting is in the form of what's called objectives, key results, otherwise known as OKRs. And it was developed, Peter Drucker has a book, Measure What Matters. And he talks about how Intel back in the 60s, 70s was using OKRs. Google uses it. And it is a system where we focus on each quarter, and we have major objectives, which are aspirational and inspirational. And then we would have, as an individual, I would have at most 3 objectives that I want to focus on. And I put in some examples here of growing social media following by 50%. I'm moving from the top 100 to the top 50. And then what we do is in each one, we would set key results. So how do we measure that? And so we put in these key results that are action ways to get towards that objective. And then within that framework, we also create, what am I doing this week? So what are my weekly actions? What this product does is it provides you, each week, you have to submit a report. And when I do that, here's my to-do list. What was done? What do I need to move forward to next week because I didn't get it done? And you can customize how that all looks and the wording. And then what happens is I get something like this in my dashboard. I can see quickly yellow, green, and red. By color, I know what I'm on track with, what's in danger of not happening, and which one needs a little more work. You can use this with traditional goal setting as much as they talk about the OKR, technology or verbiage. This is just a great way for teams. What I've used this before with businesses is transparency. Everybody on the team knows exactly what the overall company, what their objective is, what they're trying to achieve. So imagine a real estate team, here's what we're looking to achieve, team. Yep. And so now they know what the major objectives are. Now each team member can make their objectives. What are they trying to achieve? And they put down what their key results they want to achieve and what are their weekly actions. And now when they enter in that report, what's nice about this, what I like about this one is when you're working with the team is I see everybody's report.
Right.
So lead, I can respond right away. There doesn't have to be a meeting, right? We get tied up in meetings all the time. But as a team leader, if I can just go in and see, hey, Shannon completed, 5 tasks, I can either put in emojis, I put that 100% fire
Good for you.
and a hand clap.
Way to go. Mm-hmm.
Just motivate them and let them know that they're doing well.
A key concept that I hope everybody picked up on there is that you need to let everybody see how their individual performance fits into the overall team performance if you have a team. And anybody who is afraid of setting goals because it makes you feel like you're, falling short of your goals, well, that's probably good for you because in a lot of cases, we need to change the behavior. We need to change the activities. One final subject for you. I know you are a huge believer in being able to take notes and share information among a team. Talk to us about that, and then we're going to move on to Mr. Austin Glass.
Yeah. So sharing notes, there's so many sharing platforms nowadays, Google Drive, so many things like that where we set up folders that people can access. There's Dropbox Sync, a number of them. The one thing I find with them is that we can create a file folder for, say, a client, and then we have all these other separate documents. And so, it's going searching. Which one is the one I want? Which photo do I want? Right? What I like is that ability to take something where I can put everything into one document and be able to share that amongst my team. To have, I don't care whether it's a photo, an image, it's a text, it's an audio recording, it's a PDF, it's a Word document. So the tool that I selected for today was Evernote. I've been a longtime user of Evernote. I know that, a number of people were like, there's other things, maybe a little less money, I can get these freebies but as I said, it's about going back and trying to find everything. And I think when you do a time audit on your business and you say, okay, I'm spending so much time searching for files, searching for the right thing. And if I could simplify that, and let's go back to keeping it simple, I want to simplify it and make it easier. Evernote is a great tool for that because I can go into Evernote, whether it's on my phone. So on my phone, it'll allow me to all of a sudden add by text. I can type in a note, I can scan something in, I can take a photo, I can do a voice recording. I go on to my laptop, and now with the photos, I can do a sketch. I can sketch onto a photo and make notes. It's a great tool that if I have a note, think of it, they do it as notebooks and notes. So if I have a notebook for Cleve, and so Cleve, there's your notebook. You're just telling me what type of houses you're looking for. I might have our buyer's agreement in there, and then I have my onboarding questionnaire. I've submitted that. I attached that into the same document. It all just flows. I can add in images from homes that we've looked at. And let's say we go through a home and you tell me, oh my God, Eric, that is like the best kitchen. Love that kitchen.
Right.
So I can make a, draw a little circle, make a note, loves this kitchen right on the photo. It's in the notebook. And so now everything I put in there, whether it's a Word document, PDF, a photo, anything, any text goes in there, it does the optical character recognition or OCR so that I can search on any of those things. Mm-hmm. Now it becomes easier to find the information I want all within one document.
Yeah, amazing. Eric, thank you so much for that information. I was with somebody who was using Evernote, and as they went through homes, they would take pictures of the home, and I watched them go in and search by the location of the pictures, and all of a sudden, all the pictures they took in that location over multiple visits all showed up in the same place. I thought that was amazing. We do have a question from Ariella. Dropbox can be difficult to navigate. Would you happen to have a better alternative? And my team, for example, uses Dropbox, but we also use Google Drive very heavily. So my suggestion, Ariella, might be, and I hope I'm pronouncing that name correctly, my suggestion might be to look into Google Drive. It might be a good free alternative for you to share documents. Eric, thank you so much. I appreciate your contributions there. You are a wealth of information. We've got a question that I would like to back up and see if we can get answered. And Shannon, I'd love to bring you in on this one. The question is, let me just get to it here again. What are the priorities for, building a CRM or creating your CRM once you have chosen some CRM software? What are the priorities? What do people need to focus on? What would you recommend?
I always tell agents, I actually just did a brokerage onboarding earlier today, where all the agents had received their welcome email and they're all sitting there staring at their blank dashboard going, okay, now what? And part of our service is our Concierge Setup service that makes sure first and foremost you get their contacts loaded. Get all of your contacts, whether they're on sticky notes in the bottom of your bag, whether they're in your phone, get them in one place, categorize them in some way, even if it just becomes like A list and B list. Hot prospect, long-term prospect, like just chunk it down so that you can then work with those subcategories within your list. And then from there, get some automation helping you with the follow-up. So whether that's email newsletter, reminders for birthdays, whether it's just reminders for follow-up on a recurring basis, right? Maybe you want to talk to your long-term prospects every 90 days, set up a system that can remind you that happens every 90 days. So you're not looking at a list of all your long-term prospects going, who did I talk to last? Get the system in place so that it's working for you. And that's just sort of key basics that we get agents to do when they get started with Exact.
Love it. Thanks for that advice. I appreciate that. And hopefully that was helpful for Brian, who actually asked the question. Next, we've got Austin Glass. Austin actually and Brian, his business partner, happen to be private coaching clients of mine. So I have had an unusually transparent view into what he's going to talk with you about. And so, Austin, your job as the sales manager, you lead the salespeople on the Mint team. I think you've got a staff of 8 or 10 at this point looking to grow. And one of the things that you really had issues with is getting agents to use their dang CRM, to use it, actually put the leads in there, follow up with them, try to move things forward. And so talk to us about some of the things that you've learned over the last year and the things you're applying to be really successful in that area. And I know you're not as successful as you want to be, but you're certainly improving your success rate when it comes to lead conversion.
Yeah, so thanks for the intro, Cleve. We had a very difficult time getting everybody on our team. As of today, we have 21 agents total on the team. And initially with the 6 or 7 we had when we first launched about 15 months ago, getting everyone to actually put their appointments in their calendar, track their conversations through the CRM, putting the notes in, and not just the notes of this what was happening in my conversation that moment, but the notes of does your client have kids? What's their work schedule look like? All of the things that should be at the top of a contact card. So that way, when you have a call with that person, if you're like, I kind of forgot about what the last conversation was, being able to reference that and make it sound like you have an incredible memory. All of those little pieces were very difficult until recently, when we kind of had a few of our agents really jump into adopting it, and their success just kind of propelled the rest of the team to start finally following along.
So I heard somebody use, and I guess it was a team leader, I don't remember who it was or where it was, but I heard them use the word continuity. And you want to create continuity from one call to the next call to the next call. And I thought, what a wonderful concept. You want each call to build on the last one. And it sounds like you guys are mastering that. What did you do in order to get agents to actually do what they were supposed to do?
So I would say the biggest thing was just kind of bringing awareness to the fact of I'm not special. I'm not different than everybody else that's on the team as far as maybe skill set or even knowledge. It's really just a thing of if you are diligently tracking everything you possibly can in your business, from your appointments to the lead generation, the calls you're making, all of the things that really break down the data in a successful company, bringing the awareness to each agent of where they were potentially lacking and making it difficult for us to be able to help build and grow their business. Is without that information, that data, it's near impossible to find the gaps in their business that actually need fixed. So once we started showing kind of the back end of how I use the CRM, how Brian uses it, and then our Martin Mastro and Mike Pierce, they were not doing a ton of volume when we launched. And then once I got them, those were the two I got to really buy into. The CRM is your brain. If you were not at the company tomorrow and we put somebody in your place, would they be able to jump into your CRM and continue the conversation just as you did based on the notes and information you had in your CRM?
And what is so interesting is if they will live that way so that somebody could come in and take over from them, they never have to worry about somebody coming in and taking over for them because they're so valuable and they're making so much money for themselves and for the company. What a great concept. You're saying the only way an agent or a team leader can have a free mind when they're not working is to really diligently stick with their CRM. So it is the discipline of the CRM that allows them to have freedom. What a fantastic concept. I love that. And let's talk about, you love to create templates for pretty much everything. I mean, I'm always amazed with the different things you're creating templates for. What do you mean by that and how are they used?
So we find a lot of times that we waste, especially with a really busy agent or someone that's even new and is kind of a little timid or scared to jump in and have conversations with clients throughout the entire process, from prospecting all the way to after close and following up with somebody to just stay in touch for those referrals. So creating text message templates with the CRMs, a lot of times we will actually just kind of contact somebody else that we have our own templates, but it's nice to not recreate the wheel. A lot of times, if we have a new system that we're building out, we'll actually touch base with somebody that's at a different company, another successful agent that we network with, and ask them if they'll give us their templates. So that's for texts, emails. I mean, obviously, scripts are essentially a template for your phone calls. And then all the way down to when you have a new escrow or you have a new client that you're talking to, the template of what questions, like a seller information sheet or a buyer info sheet. Those are all templates, so that way, if you're nervous, if you're busy, if you're distracted, whatever the thing is, you can rely on those as kind of your fallback.
Do you have a system or a strategy where that you use to determine whether or not we need a template for this one? If you repeat something a certain number of times, do you create a template for it? How do you decide what you need to put templates together for and what you can leave alone?
So we try to keep templates for anything that we're going to be doing repetitively. And the hard part is making sure you don't want to automate something that's consumer faced and become kind of that robot that the person you're working with loses that personal touch. Because people are smart, especially through COVID, with a lot of stuff being automated, being virtual. Too many people automated things with templates. So we really try to automate things that are just a base for the conversation. So if it's something to where, congrats, escrow just opened, and here's your intro to my transaction coordinator, escrow, title. It's a template in Gmail for us where, as you open escrow, you just kind of fill in the blanks of what's missing. That type of stuff is great because it's a really long email with all the information you could dream of, with links already in there to maybe an information sheet or something about what to expect next.
What a great example. So when you're emailing somebody about a closing, maybe 90% of that email is there, and you're going in and just changing the 10% that's custom for them. That's brilliant. That is brilliant. And then the system could actually drive that for you. So the system could say, hey, it's time to do this. And pretty much any CRM can do that. Certainly Exact Contact should. And then here's our suggestions for how you do this. This is what you say. I love that.
Yeah.
You and I have had some conversations, and a lot of your ways of using technology to create leverage, they're team oriented. And one of the things that you had, and you've used the word already, I think you used the word awareness.
Yes.
And you're using awareness in place of the word, in many cases, accountability, because what we want is to create a feeling of internal accountability within all of the agents on our team. So talk to everybody, especially those who struggle with having some accountability for themselves or accountability for their team members. What have you done to start improving the feeling of accountability from the people on your team?
So the whole thing of awareness versus accountability was something that you'd kind of been pushing and really trying to shift our perspective on what the difference is. And honestly, there really is no difference aside from how you kind of approach each conversation, whether it's with yourself or with your team. Even with clients, keeping your clients accountable to making sure they're following a process that you've laid out, say for requesting showings or whatever it may be. But as far as creating awareness, as of lately for us, for people on our team, it's talking about how many times are you following up with people that are in your CRM? Are you falling behind on, say you have 100 leads that are in your CRM, and every single one of those should at least have communication within the last month. If we see people in there, say you have 10, 20 of those leads, says they haven't been contacted in 45 days or more, we don't have to send those to our agents and aggressively tell them, you got to call these by the end of the day or we're going to transfer them out. It's really just, hey, why haven't you called these? Is there something that we can do to help with that? That's where the templates come in handy with, if you go into this section, you can send this email to all 15 or 20 of those people. Just kind of understanding why they're not doing something instead of telling them to do it. That's been helpful creating awareness for us, and our agents tend to kind of keep consistent with their follow-up.
Oh, and I hope everybody's really paying attention to that. Now, when you, just give me a percentage from 0 to 100%. When you talk to your agents about where they might be falling short, and I know you don't do it that way, what percentage of the people understand how far behind they are or how far off of where they should be they are?
I would say actually know how far off, almost no one. I maybe 1 or 2 on the team out of the 15 that are on the actual team. The rest are on the brokerage side of our business. I'd say 1 or 2 will actually kind of, I haven't been doing my job, I haven't been following up, and they'll kind of, before even making an excuse, say, my excuse is this, and I know it's not valid, but this is what's been going on.
I know it's not valid, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. I'd love to circle back to you and let's see, what is your percentage of the people who actually really understand how far ahead or behind they are of their goal? Austin said 0.
Who are you circling back to?
Oh, Eric, sorry.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry, Eric.
That's okay. I mean, if they're using something like Week Done, they know exactly what they're doing, right? If not, most people, it's all up here, and they're not tracking it. You know this. I'm sure you work with so many. You got to measure, and measuring is where you get your results.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. Austin, one final thing. In order to manage your business effectively, you've got to know how to get in there and get the data so you can figure out where people are falling short or where the business is falling short. So let's close with just a little brief discussion on what you're doing at Mint Real Estate to make sure you're understanding where you need to focus to make improvements in your business.
So, I mean, I got to give almost 100% of the credit to Brian Hill, my business partner, on the data part of things. I'm the people person, he's the numbers guy. So as far as kind of looking at data, he built out Sisu for us. It's something that we use to track everything, and it automatically will pull data from most CRMs or even stuff like probably Monday.com or Evernote. if you have something that's kind of a process where you're looking at how many dials are you supposed to be making to get to your contacts, and how many contacts do you have to get to your first appointment, and appointment set to appointment met, and then those appointment met to buyers under contract to closings. At each phase of those, as we've become better with our team being more diligent of tracking their numbers, we have been able to find, and this kind of goes back to the note in the beginning, it's hard without the data to figure out where something's broken. For us, the most recent example would be an agent on our team. I had seen in here that she wrote, I think it was 27 offers in a week and a half. Not
Whoa.
a single one was accepted. Now, looking at her appointment set to met, super high, it was like 97%. And then from the set to under contract, that was a little off as well. So as I sat and talked with her, what's your process look like? When are you submitting your offers? What questions are you asking the listing agent before to kind of build rapport and understand how to position your offer? And then she opened 2 escrows in the next 4 days. So it's understanding the data and tracking each piece is very helpful.
And think about that. You have started to improve that agent's life, that agent's financial picture, because you're pointing out things that they need to have pointed out to them. And sometimes people are not willing to do that. Let's circle back. Eric has mentioned Trello Week Done, TRELLO WEEKDONE, and then Evernote. Those are 3 resources that he mentioned. Then Austin has mentioned Sisu, which is SISU for those who are taking notes. It's basically like this very smart Excel spreadsheet that goes in and pulls data out of different CRMs and other places and gives them some amazing management data. And then creating accountability through awareness. Austin, that is such a great concept. Austin, thank you so much for being on today and for providing such great information. Let's move now to Vicki Westifer, who is in Colorado Springs, and you run a team totally virtually. And it's seamless in the way you deal with your clients. And this gets me so excited. Talk to us about how your team is set up, why you set it up that way, and the results that you get because of it.
Well, first of all, I've been in business for 23 years, and I've developed a team. I am the only licensed agent on my team. My team is essentially unlicensed assistants. I have 3 unlicensed assistants, and we all work individually from our homes. One of the team members is out in California. The rest of us are here in Colorado, but we really don't get together physically that often. We do set up events for our team, but because of the fact that we all work virtually, and we've been doing so for about 15 years now. Of course, with that being the case, you can imagine then that when things happened with COVID, we really didn't skip a beat. We already had everything set up to operate efficiently, effectively, and create a great experience for our clients through this virtual platform. But the challenges of operating a virtual team are, number one, communication. We have to be able to communicate in a way that all of us can see everything that's going on, and we can see it real time. So a lot of the concepts that both Eric and Austin mentioned are tools that we have to use as well. And most of them are designed to allow us to communicate through technology tools such as Dropbox, such as Google Drive, and also some other specialty tools. Our business is very systems oriented. Everything we do is systematic. There's a plan for every single thing. And we also have, as they've talked about before, we use templating. Templating saves just an enormous amount of time. Our templates, both in text and in email, for every piece of every step are set up so that they can be fully personalized to that particular client and that situation. But we are able to communicate using Google Drive, Google Dropbox, and then also we use Google Voice, sending voicemails to email that everyone can see. We use a Google business account so that everything is shared. And all of that helps, along with cross-training. Every person on the team has been cross-trained to everyone else's job. And that's really important when, things happen. People get sick, there's an emergency, and you've got to go, take care of something. We're able to let each other know immediately if we're not available, and someone else will cover and step in and pay attention to what's going on that person's tasks.
Wow. And so you're using Google Drive, you're using Dropbox, you're using a Google business account, which means one of your team members' Gmail and all their calendar stuff is, I think, tied all in or linked all in with yours. So it's all seamless and not very expensive, as I understand it, to have that set up. Do you mind me asking what you invest on a monthly basis for that, or do you even know?
I do. It's only about I think it's $48 a month.
And so probably at $48 a month, you have all the bells and whistles probably. I mean, you've got everything there. And then did you say you use Google Voice? Is that what you said? I'm sorry.
On my phone, I use Google Voice so that any messages that come in, any voice messages that come in to my phone, which is the business phone, the one business phone, those get transcribed and the audio is on there, and that's sent to the joint team account. And we do, although we each have our own email accounts in Google, in Gmail, we have a team account as well. And that way, if there's things that we want to send to the entire group of people, we don't have to put everybody's email address into the address box as well. So that simplifies things also. With contracts, it goes to everyone. It's all set up so that everyone sees every email, every text for contracts.
Love it. When you and I were talking before this webinar, you used the words, and I think I'm quoting you when I say treasure chest regarding your CRM, your client relationship management software. Talk to us about that. And then we're going to get into my favorite of all the little tips that you're going to give today, the one I'm most excited about that I want to try myself.
I started using a CRM at the very beginning of my business 23 years ago. I consider myself fortunate that someone directed me to that. And at this point, every client we've ever worked with, every vendor, every realtor that I've ever met at any convention is in that CRM. It allows me to market specifically to any groups I choose to, and that also includes my business-to-business contacts as well. And we don't just put their contact information in there. We maintain a really good accounting of all of their personal information. We use client profile, which is another Google document. We use Google Forms, but the client profile allows us to get a lot of detailed information about them, including birthdays, including their favorite restaurants if we want to send them a gift card to something, including what they like to do for vacation or for fun. We get to find out what their interests are. One of my absolute favorite questions on the one that we designed is, what are your dreams? What would you like to do if money was no object? And it really gives you some insight that you wouldn't necessarily have into your clients. A question we used to ask a long time ago, but we've since taken it off, is what can you tell us about yourself that we would never guess? And I have gotten some of the most interesting information that gave me a very different perspective on my clients. But Google Forms are very, very easy to set up. You can send a link to your client, which is what we do. at the beginning of a transaction, we ask them to fill it out, and then we are able to just copy and paste that information directly into our CRM. Since about 85% of my business is repeat and referral, including referrals from agents around the country and in many cases around the world, it is critical that all that information be available to me and that I be able to, my team and I are able to contact those past clients, those vendors, those business-to-business contacts in various different ways, and we can sort the information because, as Shannon mentioned, you are putting a contact type, or in many cases, a number of different contact types in there. That's how we determine who gets invited to our client events. One of our contact types is client event. And so we know exactly who is going to be invited and who isn't. We don't have to spend a lot of time every time we have an event trying to figure out who's coming and who's not coming.
I love that.
Very, very simple.
Yeah, and you just go into your CRM and say, pull up all the people on the client event list, and boom, voila, it's there. You can email them, you can text them, you can call them, you can do whatever you want to. You have been nice enough, and I really couldn't even believe that you did this. You have shared the actual file, the Google form file that you use to collect information from your clients. And so those of you who are on, stay tuned. I'll give you the place to go and download that, and you'll get a copy of that for free. We did have a question from Denise. And it says, what was the title of the book by Peter Drucker? And it was called Measure What Matters, I believe, Eric. Is that correct? Measure What Matters. What a great suggestion. And then Brian is trying to confirm, Vicki, that you are the only licensed agent on your team, that all of your support people are non-licensed people working for you behind the scenes from throughout the country.
I am going to add one other note that I didn't mention. I don't show property anymore. I haven't since 2008. If I show 5 homes a year, that's a lot. I actually have a team of showing agents that I have trained, and I have a whole specific showing agent process that I use for my particular business model. And it allows me to just be a whole lot more effective and a whole lot more efficient for my clients. But that's a completely different matter.
That'll be our next webinar, Vicki. You and I will do that one together. Hey, talk to me real quickly. We've only got a couple of minutes before we've got to close the show down here today. Talk to me about your text messaging platform.
Absolutely. This is by far one of the best technology tools I have ever found. If you're working with a group of people, even if you're in the same physical office with them. Right. Because if you're getting text messages to your phone, somehow you have to be able to convey all that communication to anyone else that is responsible for managing that client's transaction. How are you going to do that? Do you copy and paste it? Do you forward it? Do you have a conversation with them? All of which are a complete and utter waste of time.
Right.
So this particular tool called Mighty Text, which is extremely inexpensive, I have the pro version, and it allows us, each of my staff, and actually I have the app on my computer as well, because when I'm working online and somebody's texting me, it's popping up on my computer screen. I don't bother to go grab my phone and text them from my phone. Right. I just text them back right from my computer screen, and everyone in my team is seeing that communication thread, that text thread, real time. And my clients are advised about this tool and how we use it. So when my staff answers questions for them, it looks like it's coming right through my phone, but they'll add their name so they know, so that the client knows that Tracy is answering the question and not Vicki, in case there's any inconsistency in the in the response. But it completely eliminates all of the crosstalk that goes on. And you can also do a couple of other things that I think are really important. I save all my emails into a file at the end of a transaction. This tool actually allows you to print to PDF the entire text thread from a transaction. And I find that really important just for record keeping.
That is such great information. And that was called Mighty Text, M-I-G-H-T-Y, Mighty Text, for those who are interested in writing it down. Thank you so much, Vicki. That was just great information, totally great information. I do have a question. How do you compensate? This is from, you may or may not be prepared to answer this, but how do you compensate your virtual people and your buyer's agents? That's a question from Helen.
They are all compensated differently because they all have different types of positions. I don't have buyer's agents. I only have showing agents. All they do is show property. They get compensated based on an hourly rate, and they actually get paid as if they were part-time employees. They get paid through paychecks. But the rest of my staff, each one is compensated slightly differently due to the differences in their basic jobs. One is a transaction coordinator, an in-house TC. I have a full-time assistant who's salaried, and then I have a person who is paid more on an outsourcing basis for all of the marketing and contract work.
And Vicki, before I turn back to Shannon, how long have these people been with you? My guess is because it works for their lifestyle, they might have been there for you like forever.
Forever. My full-time assistant, 16 years, my marketing person, 14 years, and my TC, 12 years. And they basically started working with me when their children were very young. And by working virtually, I provided them with an opportunity to have a career, an opportunity to do something productive and be home and raise their kids. And so, yes, they're very loyal. They're very dedicated. We're a very tight-knit, well-oiled machine.
Amazing. So, and I'm so proud of you for doing that. That was not easy. Eric just pointed out that he mistakenly gave the author of the book is Peter Drucker, the book Measure What Matters, but it's actually John Doerr, D-O-E-R-R, for those who want to get it down. Shannon, tell us a little bit. You've got a special offer, and then we've got some free giveaways, and we'll let everybody log off.
Yeah, is there more text on this slide if you click again? There should be a link. Yeah, one more click. Extended 60-day free trial of Exact Contact. If anybody doesn't have a CRM, or if you're not using or not liking the one that you do have, feel free to reach out to my team, and they'd be happy to answer any questions and help you get started. Or you can go to the link on your screen there and get yourself started.
Perfect. So they can go to the link, or they can dial the phone number or send an email, and somebody will help them learn how it works. Got it. And it's okay if they experiment for 5 weeks for free. I love that. So, I love that. Rookie agents get 6 months for free. Oh, I just noticed that. That's
so we believe that brand new agents that need to set up those key business practices right out of the gate. And we also know that they're also pulling money out of their pocket that they don't necessarily have anything coming back into yet. So
right,
we want to make sure that they're able to get that return long before their CRM is starting to help them get that return long before they're paying for it.
Absolutely. And for those who are interested, you can go to workmansuccess.com/competitive advantage. Make competitive advantage easy for me to say. Make sure you write that down. workmansuccess.com/competitive advantage, and you will get a link to the actual client profiles form that Vicki uses. Amazing. Thank you so much. You'll get a free download from Exact Contact, compliments of Exact Contact, that is the digital tools to grow your real estate business. And that should be a wonderful download. I have reviewed it, and there is some great information in there. And then from Workman Success Systems, you'll get the ABCs of lead management, what helps you understand how to categorize your leads based on a certain system of A, B, and C categorization. And then we'll also give you a copy of an action plan worksheet that shows you a sample of a closing and a listing and a new listing and a pre-listing action plan that you can take and load into your CRM. I believe in Exact Contact, they're called activity plans, if I remember correctly. And so you could put a contact in there, you could launch their listing plan, and then the CRM is driving all of the activities that need to take place. Eric, Austin, Vicki, thank you so much for all of your wonderful contribution on today's webinar. Shannon, thanks to you and Exact Contact for making this possible. We will see you guys next month on the RISMedia Agent Series webinar. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Cleve.
Thank you.